guys, how are you doing? Did someone say that they were experiencing an echo on the audio? Good morning, Joe. Marcus, no, I won't be driving that route at all. People think that the company V, that a driver in that company can drive wherever that company is operating, but that is not how things work. The thing here is that it is the sister company within V that actually won the franchise in Sweden by driving the night train from Narrated to Stockholm. And that means that those previous people who actually worked that line will continue working that line. So I will not be able to do that line at all, because then I would have to quit my job here and apply for the same job but in Sweden. So the thing is that drivers in the new kind of regime with privatized railway, you're stuck to the line or region that you're operating in. Aha, I see cobalt. Marcus, it is actually good for the drivers working there because they won't be replaced in the same way that when we actually won the franchise for the Bergen line, we won't be replaced either. It's just a new logo and a different color on the train. But what is sad is actually that this system makes everything like really rigid, and you cannot like transfer resources between different lines like we could before. So for the passengers, this is actually a lesser good solution compared to having a huge monopoly. And now things are so rigid that it's insane. It's just, it makes every single day a real struggle because we have so limited resources and we cannot borrow resources from other regions which has, well, free resources. So yeah. Thank you, Naomi. Rick Chando, no, it's not me, it's the voice in your head. It's your conscience. We haven't spoken for a while. How are you? Steve, I'm actually not quite sure. English is actually our B language in school, so I guess that people speaks it quite well. Yeah, I think basically everyone does. Thank you so much for the super chat, Jeff. Ranter7100, yeah, I totally agree. Privatizing this was the worst thing they could ever do, and we know that they kind of want to privatize the healthcare as well. Thank you so much for the super chat, Finsnator. Eric, I was actually at work that day, but I finished work just like an hour before the strike happened, so yeah, I dodged it. Thank you, Marcus Weller, for becoming a channel member. Rick Chando, it was not me who actually named you, it was your conscience. Thank you so much for the super chat, Frank. Oh, thank you so much for the super chat, Joe. Kurt, it is actually not that hard driving in these conditions because, as you can see, the rail actually clear. So the snow is on the ground and the rail is clear. So there's actually no problems with that. Kind of worse with fog because you really have to have line knowledge, knowing where to expect the signals and what kind of signals you can expect there. So you kind of anticipate the speed to accommodate every scenario. Thank you so much for the super chat, Steve. Naomi, the rail isn't heated. It's only the switches that is actually heated, but the rail's not heated at all. So as long as the rail is actually cold, the snow will just blow off. So yeah. Siggy, actually funny you should mention that. Today and this time of year, there's actually a lot of deer coming down from the mountains and out of the forest, the same with moose. So today I actually saw 2 does. They were kind of eating and grassing in the vicinity of the track, and yeah, they didn't go out into the track, thankfully. But yeah, we see animals all the time. Eric, there's a requirement of 40 trips after you finish school and you started training in the company you're getting hired in. Then you have to complete 40 trips before you're actually approved to drive on that, alone. And if you have multiple routes, you have to follow an experienced driver for a trip or 2 and fill out some papers, do a test, and then you're just good to go. Ricky Tribble? That actually totally depends on what kind of weather and the jet streams and absolutely everything. But some years can be like really extreme and other years can be like really little snow, so it kind of depends. This year has been kind of back and forth, like the average temperature has been really high, so we haven't had that many snow days. But now the last couple of weeks there has been a lot of snow in the mountains, so I'm really looking forward to riding over there in daytime next time. Yasha? No, I actually don't. I'm actually not scared driving in conditions like that. It is what it is, and you actually use everything you've learned to make sure that you get through it safely. Yellow, green plus yellow actually means that you're supposed to expect, continue, or proceed with reduced speed in the main signal that is connected. So when you see a green and a yellow blinking, that means that you're actually looking at a distant signal. And connected to that distant signal is a main signal, and that distant signal actually tells you what kind of signal aspect to expect in the main signal. So if you see one blinking green, that means that you can proceed with line speed in the main signal. If you see a blinking yellow, that means that the main signal is set to stop, so you have to expect to stop. And if you see a green and blinking yellow, then you are supposed to proceed with reduced speed when you reach the main signal. Okay, it's actually we as drivers who has to set the limit for what we're comfortable of doing. But if you don't see the signal and you know there's actually a signal there, you can always call the controller to ask them what kind of aspect the signal is set in, and you go from there. Jay Johnson, yeah, you definitely feel the difference with that many people and luggage and skis and everything on board. You kind of feel that it's a lot more weight you're pulling, and when you brake, you can actually feel that it affects the effect on the brakes. So it might happen that you actually exceed the limit, the weight limit, and then it will actually make the train brake less, basically. So you have to anticipate that, and that's why we always have procedures to test the brakes on certain intervals and before we're doing this and that. Thank you so much for the sticker, Shark Girl. Imho? Yeah, I'm running a dual flirt on this one, so that is 220 meters and I can actually carry probably, I think it's like 700, almost 800 packs. Never experienced meeting a person inside the tunnel who wasn't supposed to be there, except for one time, and that was in Oslo, just outside Oslo Central Station. And there was a drug addict who was like totally high as a kite, and he walked into the tunnel because he thought he would walk to Skøyen. When things like that happens, all trains stop. We just stop the service and we call the police, and they'll have to remove him. And then after that, they will give the clear to the controllers, and the controller will tell us to proceed as normal. John, I would actually love trying working for Amtrak in the States. That would be completely awesome. I actually think the tunnels are quite interesting. It's a real engineering feat, especially when you think of the fact that most of the tunnels on the Bergen line were actually constructed in the early 1900s, before they had lasers, before they had power drills, and before they had tunnel boring machines. And they actually hand drilled. The Flom line was hand drilled. And you have a lot of tunnels, like Gravhalsen tunnel, the one after Myrdal. That was actually the first tunnel in Norway that was done with boring machines. And when they started to hit kind of harder rocks, they had a harder rock type, they had to go back to manual labor to do the rest of the tunnel. And the precision of that tunnel is completely insane. I think they missed the mark of just 1.5 meters or something. It was completely insane. Naomi, I think I would actually, if I was supposed to work for Amtrak, I will actually do the East Coast, because there they have the Sprint service and they have the Sila Express, and I would really love to try to drive the Sila Express. Hey there, Ben. Marcus, there is actually no rules about not being allowed to take a bike on the train. You're actually allowed to take your bike on the train, but you have to pay a ticket for it. So the price is like for the half of the fare of an adult, so the same price as for a child. Yeah, so as long as you have a ticket, that's no problem. Naomi, no, I was actually talking about the tunnel right after Myrdal. Thank you, Kathy. Lifton, yeah, I feel a lot better. Last week was horrible, but now I actually feel kind of good. At least my voice is back. Yamho, that's awesome. Like 4 centimeters on Team A and B in that tunnel, and when you compare that to the British channel with the Eurostar tunnel, they missed by far more than 4 centimeters. Anton, here in Europe we are using something called GSM-R. So that's basically a normal GSM phone with an R for rail functions. So it's encrypted communication and it's point to point, but we're also able to pull up conference calls and emergency calls to different trains in the area or for all the trains within an area. So yeah, that's how that works. So we don't hear any chatter between trains because, yeah, why have an open channel when you can just contact the train you're supposed to tell something to? Abby, if you look at the beginning of the video, you actually see what my train looks like. Kevin, this was filmed 10 days ago. Bob, actually, we did parts of our education on the Krøderline. So yeah, I have actually done that, but no, heritage lines are not my thing. rank a skydive line? Wow, thank you so much for the super chat, Gurvinder. David, you're gonna see more of that. Yasha, like a normal day or work week, it actually differs. In total, we work 150 hours in 4 weeks or 225 hours in 6 weeks. So the shifts can vary from like 5 hours and as long as 16 hours. The train always stops in Ustasoet during the summer. Liften? Excellent. I would actually play that game with that line if they actually release something like that, and that would be just because I would want to see how down to every detail they would actually get it. Hey there, Inga. Klaus, I'm actually certified for the trains that runs on a Bergen line, so that means no DI4 or any diesels. Hey there, Bruce. Thank you so much for the super sticker, Anton. Sweet dreams, Finse. Hauge, I would say challenge accepted. Uplifton, that kind of differs from year to year. It depends on how cold it is in a mountain region. But usually the first snow comes in like late October, and then you have some more in November, and then it kind of disappears, and it goes kind of back and forth all the way through November, December, and then in January it just like comes down. And I will say the snow on the mountain actually peaks in March, and from there starts to melt, and it's completely gone by mid-July, I guess, especially on Finse. Eric, the voice you hear that is announcing is actually automated. Naomi, no, that is not the Finse mountain. Eric, it is actually so simple as GPS. Did anyone notice all the cars to the left when we left Haugastøl? Because if you did, that is because the mountain pass was closed for cars due to bad weather. So the weather we're actually going to drive into now is it's kind of severe. It is nothing you would like to be outside in for a very long time. Cathay, the longest tunnel is the Finse tunnel, and that resides just after Finse, of course. And it is 10,300 meters long, or 6.4 miles. See you later, Shark Girl. You know, it is actually not the train that tilts in the curves, it's actually the curves that tilted. Wilbert, no, that is not the longest tunnel in Norway. The longest tunnel today in Norway, which for railway, is actually the tunnel between Oslo and Lillestrøm, called Romeriksporten. And it is, hold on. Just had to get the exact numbers here. It is actually 14,580 kilometers long. So that's 9.06 miles. Cathay, that is still the Finse tunnel, which is 10,300 meters long. Klaus, the weather was really nice on this side of the mountain and on the other side of the mountain as well, but on top of the mountain that was actually not so nice, so you will see a kind of a stark difference pretty soon. Eric? Yeah, that is actually true. The new tunnel between Oslo and Ski will actually surpass the longest tunnel we have today. Oh, you're such a perfectionist. Okay, I think I would actually want to do a freight train on Mariah's Pass. Frank, I don't know, I don't remember the mile marker, but it is actually just before the small tunnel and the short tunnel before Ustaoset station. Evacuation, the logic behind those diamond-shaped signs are actually they tell you that you are close to a level crossing, so you have to sound the horn. So if you look at the diamond-shaped sign, they can have either a horizontal line or a vertical line in the middle. If it's horizontal, that means that you're getting close to a level crossing, you have to sound the horn. If it's vertical, that means that you're getting close to a platform where passengers can embark and disembark the train, and if you're supposed to stop there, you have to sound the horn. And if you have both horizontal and a vertical bar, so you have a cross in it, that means that you have both a level crossing and a platform coming up, and you have to sound the horn, even though you're not supposed to stop. Tracks data, do you mean like cameras that functions like mirrors? Look, that was actually very windy that day, and as you can see, I'm actually not traveling at the maximum speed, and that is because of the expectations of the possible snowdrifts on this part of the track. And considering that I'm actually running a flirt, I would not want to hit those snowdrifts at high speed. So right now I'm coasting along in like 100, 130, and just making sure that I will have a lower speed at the points where I can expect to hit snowdrifts. Well, it is actually 14:05. Fredrik, it is actually a class 75. Eric, the damages that could actually happen with this kind of train I'm running right here is that the blade, or the snow blade in front, is actually not really a snow blade. It can be bent under and you can just really do extensive damage on the undercarriage. Lenny, that is actually correct, but I think it was in 2011. There were two Class 73s that actually went off the rails just before Hallingscheid, and that was actually because of an avalanche. I see, gas lover. Anders, this train is electric, if that was what you were asking for. It's actually not scary because you see the catenary mass on both the right side and sometimes on the left side, so, and you have the wire overhead, so I know you know where the track goes all the time. Yeah, Eric, and by now you actually don't see it at all. Thank you so much for the super chat, Roger. Look, yeah, this train is 220 meters long. Kathy? Well, yeah. If there's problem with the power supply, that would definitely give us some disruption of services. I see, yes, lover. We have things like that on some level crossings here in Norway too. You're welcome, Blake. Thank you so much for the super chat. Kathy, like I said earlier, yeah, we can have interruptions, but that is when the power supply fails or a train kind of pulls down the catenary, but usually we don't have a lot of problems, except for during storms and stuff like that when trees actually falls on top of the catenaries. And Kathy, now we are actually inside the longest tunnel on this line. And this was the highest point of the line, Naomi. Glennie, that line is between Oslo and Lillestrøm. Thank you so much for the super chat, Christine. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sakura. Kevin, there's actually no ventilation shafts in this tunnel, but there is actually a natural draft in it, so if you're in the tunnel, you can feel the air come from the Finse side and going down to the Haugastøl side. Yeah, a lot of you actually notice the fog in the tunnel, and this happens when a train is in the tunnel and it moves with a certain speed, of course, and it pushes a lot of air in front of the train, right? So when the air comes into to Fagernes station, the place where the tunnel kind of widens out and you see two tracks, and then it goes back into narrow one track, the air gets compressed, so it expands and then gets compressed. So the train pushes a lot of air from all the way from the Finse side and goes over, and then it expands and compresses. When that happens, you actually hit the dew point of the air because of the compression, and it actually forms clouds. So there's basically the pressure change in the tunnel that compresses the air, and then it just forms clouds. That's okay, Gast. Glennie, that is actually a horrible tunnel to drive through. It is so long. Oh my lord, that is a long tunnel. Yep, that's right, Bruce. Thank you so much for the super chat, Fluke. Actually not in the Finse tunnel, because it has a solid temperature of approximately between 5 and plus 10 degrees all year long. The icing actually happens in the shorter tunnels here on the west coast, and so the people who do the snow plowing and cleaning the track for snow and stuff like that, they actually also inspect the tunnels and remove any icing that could cause harm to the pantographs. Yes, I will not be able to stream in other countries, as I am a driver that works for the train company that actually runs on the Bergen line. So if I'm supposed to stream, would stream from other countries, I would actually have to apply for another job. Glenny. I would actually say that was a good choice. That's right, Lars Gunnar. See you guys. UK, Hallingskeid is actually a very popular cabin area, so there's a lot of people coming here to go to their cabins. And a lot of people also go to Finse and they ski to Hallingskeid and then take the train back. Glenny? Military secrets? Dr. Obvious, those small panels actually show you how far into the tunnel you are and the distance to the nearest exit. Dr. Obvious, no, people do not walk in those tunnels. Those signs are actually for evacuation. So if we have an incident where we actually have to evacuate the train in such a tunnel, then those signs will tell you the distance to the nearest exit. Ankara? I have actually never noticed, so after driving I just get off and jump into the car and go home. So yeah, no, doesn't affect me. Jeff, do you mean soccer? If so, no, I don't support any team, and to be quite honest, I really don't like that sport. I think it's freakishly boring. Dr. Obvious, we sound the horn where we're supposed to sound the horn, so look for diamond-shaped signs. Those signs are also an indication that there might be a level crossing there, and if you don't see it, it's because it's covered by snow. Look, if I'm actually going to Bergen or if I'm going to Oslo or places like that, I definitely use the train. And the reason for that is it's faster and you get over the mountains even though the roads are closed. So yeah, I opt for train. Naomi, Lom actually does that with people. I think the bot is on the other stream. Kara, I have actually already done side views on the main line from Ål to Bergen as well. Kara, yeah, it's definitely still on my page. Jeff, not the past couple of years. See you later, Frank. Well, those were just tourists, and tourists on at Myrdal, they actually take pictures of absolutely everything. Clifton, on this train there's actually two conductors as well. So there's one conductor in the second train set and there's one conductor in the first train set. And when the boarding is complete, those two conductors show a sign that boarding is complete, and then the main conductor calls me and tell me that I can actually close the doors and proceed. Yeah, there are actually some people that lives at Myrdal all year round, but there are not many anymore. Jane, some stations or stops, they actually last for about 3 minutes, and those stops I usually edit out. That is just to save space, because these files I'm working with, they are huge. there, Ken. Bob and Kara? No, sadly I don't. I'm so glad you guys love it. It's thank you. It's just awesome that you like it. That is so true, Christine. Actually, my favorite time of the year to go to work is actually during the winter. Eric, that actually depends on the situation and what kind of emergency it is. That's awesome, Bob and Kara. Bob and Kara, that is so typical Norway. Robert, here's one funny thing about the Flom line. There are actually no block lights. So there's actually no signals going out from the station. So the signal you're actually seeing is the distance signal for the level crossing. Spider pig, spider pig. See you later, Ben. Is the Surfliner the one that goes from San Francisco and all the way down to Los Angeles? Eric, that actually kind of depends, but I can say that this one with the sky and cloud and the snow and everything, it's actually beautiful. So sometimes I actually rewatch this. You can also imagine how many times I actually see this video when I'm actually sitting there and editing. Hey there, Jeff. Yeah, I'm really glad I got my voice back too. Yes, you can actually drink the water from the rivers without getting sick. Mike, that is actually not the first time I've heard that. Jane, that is wickedly awesome. Eric, all my videos are actually filmed in flat and native when it comes to color correction, temperature and everything. It's just like basically flat. That gives me a better way to, or more power and more data to actually color correct, adjust, and get the right color temperature and stuff like that. So that is actually what I'm doing, and I put on station names and stuff like that, and I kind of blob out everyone who actually works on the railroad and what more, and I go through the audio and remove chatter with the controller or with the dispatch and stuff like that. Which one of the glaciers, Naomi? Fluke? All the chatter and stuff like that on the railroad in Norway is done in Norwegian. Thank you so much for the super chat, Tom. Hot space? No, the weather has never been that bad that I've been stranded between stations before. Thank you so much for the super chat, Tristan. Look, most of the time they actually are. Right now I think we're actually approximately around 550, 600 meters above sea level. Vladimir? Yeah, the switches that are like on remote stations, switches on remote stations, they are actually heated. So when we come to approximately around October, we turn on the heat. So then they stay heated throughout the winter, and then they turn the heaters off when spring comes. Thank you, Jim. Eric, there's actually a fence. So if the fence is triggered, then that will send a signal to the avalanche warning system, and the light will turn from blinking white, which means clear line, to blinking 2 yellows. That means that an avalanche has been detected. And then we have to stop, ask for permission to proceed if we can't see that there is an avalanche, and then we have to proceed with a high speed of 10 kilometers per hour until we have passed the part of the line where the warning is for. Naomi? I'm actually not sure. I think so. I have met a lot of people down in Flom that actually came to Norway due to my channel. But yeah, I guess they have. Jim, it is planned to open early next year. I don't know, Eric. I don't know. This train actually stops at Voss, Naomi. Asper, yeah, we actually have a radio in the cab, which can take CDs and Bluetooth and memory sticks, so we can listen to music and whatever. Eric, I started my day at Voss and traveled as a passenger to Ål. Then I was supposed to ready the train, but it came directly from Drammen, the workshop, and so I didn't need to ready it, and I just continued from Ål and back to Voss, and that was my day. There's actually, in Norway, it's actually just 4% of the track that is actually dual track, and most of those tracks is actually around Oslo. Yes, Eric, I did, because I am based at Voss, and that means that when I start at Voss, I get paid from Voss. So if I have to go to Ål, or if I have to travel all the way to Oslo, I will still get paid for that time. Dr. Obvious, the maximum speed on this run is actually 160 kilometers per hour. That is the technical speed, but on this trip today, my maximum speed was actually 130 kilometers per hour. Eric, because I'm not supposed to stop at that station. That is actually an impossible question. I like most of the line. The best part is definitely from Voss and over the mountain. That is actually definitely the best part, and that is due to the scenery and weather and the difference in weather and stuff like that. The stretch from Voss to Bergen is basically 50% tunnel, so yeah, but you get to see the fjords, and I actually like to drive the Flom line as well. And of course, the part from Ål to Oslo is also cool because it has a much higher average speed compared to the west side of the mountain. Everything from Gråskallen tunnel and all the way through the Finse tunnel is 160 kilometers per hour, except for the part at Finse station, which is 80 kilometers per hour. Bob and Kara? Yeah, sometimes there are. Yeah, I'm alone in the cab when I'm driving. Look, that was actually the intercom. Thought center, that is awesome. James, there's no diesel backup on this one. This is pure electric. TV fry? What do you mean? Do you mean what is defined as a delay? Hi for Apple, why would I need permission for that? TV Fry, I'm not sure what you're trying to get some information about, but if you're wondering what is considered a delay, that is everything that is past 3 minutes and 59 seconds. That is considered a delay in the system. Vladimir, you actually make sure that you don't need to go to the bathroom while driving the train, but if you do, then you have to stop the train. It's that simple. Okay, so here we are arriving. Stop. This is actually where I get off. This train will continue towards Bergen after about approximately 20 minutes halt here at Voss. So I want to thank everyone for joining in today, and this has been just awesome seeing so many people here. And yeah, thank you for everything. Thank you for the soup chats, thank you for the memberships, and thank you for supporting me and this channel. It is so awesome. And I really thank everyone. So I hope you have a fantastic Saturday and a nice Sunday tomorrow, and I guess I'll see you again next week. Bye.